Come make some lazy girl kombucha with me. No, I'm not gonna bite the SCOBY. Today we're gonna be covering the details on how to make your first ferment, like the first fermentation that you'll need to do for kombucha, which requires 2 for bubbly kombucha, that is. The most important thing that you will need is this. He kind of looks like a nasty booger, but the name of this little booger is called a SCOBY. SCOBY stands for Symbiotic Culture of Bacteria and Yeast. Do you see me thinking? These little gaffers, you can usually pick them up at like a health food store, but honestly, I see a ton of people selling them on like Facebook Marketplace from out of their house. I myself have hotels. This is a hotel. This is a SCOBY hotel. When you make kombucha, you get more SCOBYs. So just keep getting more and more SCOBYs every time you make it. It's like a byproduct. What you're gonna need is a jar. I think this one is a 1/2 gallon. I like to write the recipe right on my jar so that I don't forget it. So for this 1/2 gallon jar, I use 5 tea bags, 1/2 cup of starter, and 1/2 cup of sugar. We're going to take our 5 tea bags. This needs to be a caffeine-based tea, so like a green tea or a black tea. I use green tea for my kombucha because I like it better, but you can do whatever you want as long as it's caffeinated. This is what makes my method lazy girl compared to others. We need to brew our tea, and what I'm doing here, these tea bags are trash. Lipton's do better. I don't buy expensive tea for my kombucha. I could buy organic. I don't. I just don't. Sorry. I may as well just use loose leaf. Anyways, that's besides the point. I'm only gonna steep the tea in this much water from, not 4, 5 tea bags, okay? We gotta leave this. We gotta leave this for a few minutes. And while that tea is steeping, I want to mention a couple of like key details about why we're using the ingredients that we're using. The reason we need to use caffeinated tea is because that is what the like organisms in here are going to feed off of. The other important thing that they are going to use as like their like food source to keep them alive and to ferment our tea is sugar. Now, you can use organic sugar, but you really should be using white sugar. You don't want to substitute this for like lower kind of like calorie sugars or like, I don't even know, like syrups and stuff. Like I wouldn't do that. I would just stick with plain old white sugar. You can do organic, you can do not organic. I'm just using literally Rogers white sugar. This is important because it provides the little bacterias and yeasts and stuff enough energy to do their job. If you don't give them enough food, they can't do the work that they need to do to make you kombucha. And those are some fun facts about why we use caffeine and why we use this kind of sugar to make kombucha. I've never had a batch go wrong. I've been making this for years. Lazy girl way and everything. And I've never had any problems. So just stick with the key aspects and you shouldn't have a problem. Keep your stuff sanitized. Run boiling water over your equipment before you make your kombucha so that there aren't other things living in it. Wash your hands really well, right? You know, basic food things. But when we're making fermented foods, it becomes extra important because these foods are sitting in like the perfect conditions for them to like spoil, but they don't spoil because of all the little happy things in them. And we don't want to introduce not happy things to the happy things. Okay, that's my rant. Oh, I'm making such a mess. Oh well, that's the fun part about being in the kitchen, right? Make a mess. A mess is evidence of like a good time. What happens after a party? You have a mess, okay? It was a good time. So, now put the sugar into this very hot concentrated tea. Stir that up. Dissolve the sugar. Dun, da, da, da. And this is me being lazy again. Now, I'm just adding tap water, cold tap water, to my hot tea sugar mixture when the sugar is dissolved. Okay, out there. That's pretty much where I'm gonna stop adding water. Now, because we added cold water to the hot mixture, this is like room temperature, and we can immediately add our SCOBY and our starter. If we hadn't have done that like method, adding the cold water to the concentrated tea, we would have had to wait for like a whole bunch of tea to cool down. And that is what I see people doing all of the time, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Like, yes, the hot water keeps any bad bacteria out of it, but I've just never had a problem doing it this way. I've literally never had a batch go wrong. So maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm just lucky. But that is how I make my Lazy Girl kombucha. We're going to cover the top with a piece of paper towel. I like to put the ring on. You can use an elastic. And we are going to set this down under the cupboard for like 10 days. We're just going to let it hang out there and do its thing. That is step 1 in making kombucha. This is the first ferment, and this is the Lazy Girl method. You literally can just let that sit there now, okay? All right, we're done. Bye, see you later. I'll make sure to post a video about the next part.